Hello, and thank you for joining me on 8. I am Maggie. Okay, so what are we doing? We are doing this beautiful book, Excuses Be Gone, by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Big hug. And you know he's still with us, right? You know it because he's here. Anyway, why are we doing this book? Because it is a book on how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits. So if you even just pick up even one tool in here, this is the Brian Scott Momentum Challenge on crack, basically, right? It's like 10xing. So okay. So as you know, I get excited about what we do, and we are building momentum to our best life. And so we are currently in chapter 17, the sixth question: can I access universal cooperation in shedding old habits? So I'm going to pick up where we left off. So here we go. Living the virtues. Some 2,500 years ago, Lao Tzu spoke of the four cardinal virtues and noted that when we practice them as a way of life, we come to know and access the truth of the universe. These four virtues don't represent external dogma, but a part of our original nature. By practicing them, we will realign with the source and access the powers that source energy has to offer. According to the teachings of Lao Tzu, the four cardinal virtues represent the surest way to leave habits and excuses behind and reconnect to your original nature. So you're going to be looking at your rear view mirror, and it's going to be, you're going to be seeing 2020, and it's going to be in your rear view mirror. Okay, that is the way you were before you acquired physical form, and the way you will be when you leave your physical self. The more your life is harmonized with the four virtues, the less you're controlled by the uncompromising ego. And when your ego is tamed, you discover how easy it is to access divine guidance. You and the divine begin to operate on the same frequency. It's amazing feeling, right? When we tap into the divine, when we tap into the spirit of the living God, you know it. And the more that we practice and we hold that energy, we're going to literally be able to hold it for longer and longer periods. And that's going to really help change the world. So anyway, as you contemplate your life without excuses, you leave the ego part of you in the dust. Below are the four virtues and how they manifest, along with a brief description on how they relate to your commitment to live an excuses-be-gone life. Okay, the first cardinal virtue, reverence for all life. Oh, yes. This is number one, numero uno, because it is the key to diminishing the ego. The source of being is the source of all being, including our planet and our universe, and it doesn't create that for which it has no reverence. So since the Tao, or God, is in the business of creating and allowing, why would it create anything that is unlike itself, or even worse, something that it despises? Yeah, God don't make no junk. So we are all here for divine purposes, and it's up to us to choose to magnify. You know that song, bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. So we want our soul to magnify the Lord. Okay, so why would it create anything that is unlike itself, or even worse, something it despises? To that end, the first cardinal virtue manifests in your daily life as unconditional love and respect for all beings in creation. And this includes making a conscious effort to love and respect yourself, as well as to remove all of the judgments and criticisms from those early memes and mind viruses. Understand that you were a piece of God, and since you must be like what you came from, you are lovable, worthy, and godlike. Affirm this as often as you can, and for when you see yourself in a loving way. You have nothing but love to extend outward. And the more you love others, the less you need to the old excuse patterns, particularly those relating to blame. Excuses originate in a false belief that the universe and its inhabitants aren't there for you. The notion that there are obstacles inhibiting you from living at your highest levels of success, happiness, and health is based on an inauthentic premise. So I just want to add that. I talk a lot about David Hawkins' work with the map of consciousness. And when you look at the lower vibes, you're looking at guilt and shame, and you move through anger, and then you move up through courage. Then you really start moving towards like compassion, and then you can really get up into love, you can get into peace. But it's like if you're down in the lower vibrational frequencies, the murk, you're not, what you're going to be manifesting a lot of times is, chaotic types of things, or demonic types of things, or negative types of things, the spectrum of what we can be manifesting. So I just want to say, like, I'm not here to like paint toxic positivity over something. If you are having the world reflect back to you these lower order values and things, like, I'm not here to say like pixie dusted and just pretend. But sometimes we do have to, not sometimes, we have to like hold it. Like Reverend Ike says, right here and right now, I choose to let the negative identity, so he makes the cross, you know how they make the cross? I choose to cross out this negative self-identity. So right here and right now, I choose to be beautiful. I choose to be healthy. I choose to be successful. I choose to be wealthy. I choose to be prosperous. I choose to have lots of money. Like, Reverend Ike, he was always really hitting on money because he saw that when people, the hierarchy of needs, when their needs were met, then they could work on the spiritual principles. So if you're encountering like these things that you don't like, we got to get you out of those lower vibrations. And Wayne Dyer is not poo-pooing anyone, but what it is he was holding such a high vibration that where he was, like Yogananda, where he was, like Jesus, where he was, like Buddha, where he was, like Mary Magdalene, where she was, like Renee Garcia, where she was, like Lisa, like Tammy, like, Kathy, like Sparkle, and Louise. I mean, there's so many people. They're holding these higher vibrations and these frequencies and these energies that just doesn't exist there. So, all that to say, reverence for all life. We're going to keep going. So as you adopt the first cardinal virtue, allow yourself to see others as willing to assist you in maximizing your human potential. The most reverence you have for yourself and for all alive, the more you see everyone and everything as willing assistants rather than inhibitors to your highest life. So as Patanjali put it so succinctly several thousand years ago, when you are steadfast in your abstention of thought of harm directed towards others, all living creatures will cease to feel enmity in your presence. And the key here is to stay so steadfast that you seldom ever slip from the first cardinal virtue. What is the first cardinal virtue? Reverence for all alive. So, challenge. Building momentum, right? Brian Scott. Challenge you. Make your affirmation like when you're walking around for this month, everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. And just try it out and see what happens. You'll start to see like everybody loves you. Because we do. Okay. The second cardinal virtue, natural sincerity. This virtue manifests itself as honesty, simplicity, and faithfulness, and it's summed up by the popular reminder to be true to yourself. Using an excuse to explain why your life isn't working at the level you prefer isn't being true to yourself. When you're completely honest and sincere, excuses don't even enter into the picture. The second virtue involves living a life that reflects choices and comes from respect and affection for you, for your own nature. Ralph Waldo Emerson described the significance of sincerity in an 1841 essay, The Oversoul. Deal so plainly with man and woman as to constrain the utmost sincerity and destroy all hope of trifling with you. So they won't want to mess with you because you're just amazing. It is the highest compliment you pay. And the great humanitarian Albert Schweitzer once observed that sincerity is the foundation of spiritual life. Another one I really love, I'm just going to add this in, Martin Luther King. He said, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So as a nurse, caring for patients, that was one thing, you want to meet your patients on their level, and you really want them to know that you actually really care about what they're experiencing, how how their reactions to medications, about their healing process, etc. And I learned that, once a patient really felt that you cared, once they knew you care, then you could really make headway in their healing process. So people don't care what you know until they know that you care. It's very important, that sincerity. Okay, make truth your most important attribute. Walk your talk. That is, become sincere and honest in all that you say and do. If you find this to be a challenge, take a moment to affirm, I no longer need to be insincere or dishonest. This is who I am, and this is how I feel. And from now on, when you make a commitment to do everything in your power to live up to what you've promised, remember that when you're living your life from the perspective of your truest nature, you connect to Source. And as Switcher says, this is the very foundation of spiritual life. And as you work on being totally honest with yourself and others, those old self-defeating habits no longer crop up. And usually sidebar here, but if you do, we are all working to integrate our shadows. So we can have the good part of ourselves and we can have the bad part of ourselves. And we're really working to reconcile that so we can come into union with God, the God in us. So we are choosing to live in that place. So let's say you mess up or you make a mistake. It's very, very important that you don't, you forgive yourself and you make amends, or you do what you need to do, or you remove yourself from the situation, or whatever it is that you need to do, but that you forgive yourself so that you can and release yourself. Because if you are staying in that shame and guilt, especially fear, it is sure to bring punishment. And then what will happen is just a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then you will continue to attract things. So you're over here trying to be better, or trying to not get angry. And then you're going to find yourself, okay, you don't forgive yourself, you don't release yourself, then you fall into getting, angry again, and then you feel bad, and you slip lower and lower vibrationally. You really need to look at what you're angry about, look at, forgiving yourself, connecting, make sure you're taking that time in the silence to connect with God. Because if you're asking the questions, God's going to answer you. And if we are all a work in progress. So if you're struggling like I keep saying, if you do the work will do you. Please do not give up if you are having challenges overcoming aspects of your person that need to be, cleaned up or changed, because we all have it. If we're honest, every single one of us has our dark shadow piece. And like I've always said, I will fail you, other people will fail you, but God will never fail you. The living God will never fail you. So, don't put people on pedestals. Like, we're all in this together, and be kind and forgiving to yourself. Okay, so we are in the second principle, which is natural sincerity. So when you know and trust yourself, and you always know and trust the divinity that created you, and that means if you want to live in the mountains or by the oceans, so be it. And you know it's your soul calling you to live harmoniously within your true nature. If you love sculpting and no one else gets it, so be it. If you want to become a triathlete, a ballet dancer, a hockey player, or a trapeze artist, so be it. And if you are me and you want to have a YouTube channel and write a book and have a business, public speaking and energy healing and spiritually entertaining and loving people, so be it. So whatever you are doing, right? The momentum challenge. We don't have to be perfect. Like, it's obvious I'm not perfect. It's obvious I don't have the highest level video skills and all these things, but we just have to walk boldly in that direction. And you are literally watching me as I create my future, as I boldly step into my new career, assisting the world in this transition. So what are you doing? I know so many are just so naturally, sincerely beautiful people. And so I'd love to hear what you're doing. And so whatever it is you want to be, so be it. Okay, so if you live from honesty, sincerity, and faithfulness to the calling of your spirit, and I've told you guys this before, every one of you is called, so we must come forward. You will never have an occasion to use excuses. And this is the significance of the second cardinal value offered by Lao Tzu, a mighty tool that you can employ as you work your way through the excuses begone paradigm. Yeah. Okay, so building momentum. We're working on these cardinal virtues. And I mean, I know it's common sense also, and it's higher order values, but if you've looked around in the world, you can see a lot of people, we're all needing reminders. And sometimes we get stressed out and we make mistakes, but we got to forgive ourselves, and we got to make amends, and then we got to move forward with our best foot forward. So, the two virtues tonight were reverence for all life and natural sincerity. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, there is a button over there that says like. Please hit it. It really will help me to continue to build my channel. And please hit the other one that says subscribe. And then also, please leave your positive comments. I would love to know what your so be it is. Like, what's your so be it? What are you becoming? Are you becoming a scientist? Are you working on AI? Are you building a gaming platform? Are you starting a YouTube channel? Are you writing that book? I know I called a lot of you out. You have books in there. Bring them out. Bring them out. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. If you're a musician, or you're a dog walker or a groomer of dogs, a model, a poetry writer, oh my gosh, endless. All right. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm gonna see you tomorrow, and you know what's you know what's next, right? Peace in.